Hey guys, going to make some sourdough pizza bases today. This recipe will make 4 individual pizzas. You end up with about 950 grams of base. I divide that into 4. So we're going to start by just doing the flour and water, waterlising it. So we're just mixing in 430 grams of flour and 340 grams of water. During the video, any of the mixing times will be, as you see on the screen, real time. We'll chop the waiting times out, obviously, but when I'm mixing the dough and all that you can see how long I'm mixing it for. It'll be the real time on the screen. So we're just autolysing this now, so we're doing it all by hand. Autolysing just lets the flour and water combine and helps to develop the proteins in the flour to give us a more bubbly base. So I'm going to just mix the flour and water, as you can see now, and then I leave this for about 4 hours. This recipe suits my weekend, where I start making it Saturday morning, finish making it Saturday afternoon, and then we have the pizzas Sunday night. So they'll sit overnight in the fridge once they're all done, and then Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, we'll take them out and then stretch them into the pizzas. So that's it. I've just mixed the flour and the water, scraping down the side of the bowl, cover it up and leave it sitting there. So mine's for about 4 hours. You can do as little or as long as you want. 4 hours works for me and gives a nice result at the end. So anytime I leave the dough, it's always covered. I just use Nana's sour cap. That was shower cap, not sour cap. So 4 hours later, I'm just adding my salt, semolina, oil and starter, and then we'll mix the dough to develop it, and the oil, as well. That starter's it's doubled, so I'd fed it the night before, left it out overnight to double in size. It was up and ready to go this morning, so I've kept it in the fridge for those 4 hours. So now we're just mixing it all together. First of all with the spoon. Use whatever works for you. Because we've done that autolyse, it does shorten how long we've got to mix it for. And we will then let it rest again and again and again, and all that it saves you mixing. The dough develops itself. Now I'm just going to do this for a little while by hand. You can feel it starting to get stronger and all sticking together. It's quite a soft dough, the pizza dough. Once we've mixed this, again we'll cover it and we'll leave it for 20 minutes before we do a stretch and fold. You can see the dough's coming together quite nice. It's got a bit of tension on the surface now. And as I said, this is all in real time, so this is how long I'm actually mixing it for. I'm just using the bread flour brought out of the supermarket. This was wallaby flour from Coles. It's starting to look like a dough now. It's getting a lot smoother. There we go, and then we're just going to cover it, like I said, and leave for 20 minutes. 20 minutes later, we'll do our first stretch and fold. Just pulling it up and folding it over. If your dough is really wet or sticking to your hands, you can put some water on your hands. And that's us. That's our first stretch and fold done. Then we'll cover it up and leave it for another 20 minutes. Come back and do our second one. It's getting a lot more stretchy now as it's being developed. And that's number 2, stretch and fold. We'll cover it up, leave for another 20 minutes, come back and do our third and final stretch and fold. The whole time the dough's been sitting out at room temperature. Mine's a little bit cold, I'm doing it outside. Ideally you want the dough around 26 degrees. Any hotter and it'll move a lot quicker, but you'll start to lose some of its firmness. So 26 is the magic. You can heat your water, cool your water, heat your flour, cool your flour, whichever way you need to go to get it to 26. I've left it to double in size. That took just over 2 hours for me. Now we take the dough out of the bowl, onto the bench, divide it into 4. And then we're rounding them up with the bench scraper. So we just keep tucking it under and then dragging it to us and building up the tension on the top of the dough ball. We're going to spray the container that we're going to leave them sitting in the fridge overnight with. Just helps it to come out easier tomorrow. Obviously you can adjust the recipe to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, whatever you're making. And so these are going into the fridge late Saturday afternoon. I'll take them out of the fridge about lunchtime Sunday. Round them up again. And then leave them to rest and then stretch them out into the pizza. So that all depends on the temperature as well. So I'll have them out earlier because it is middle of winter here than I would in summer. In summer they'd stay in the fridge longer. So just going to give a light spray of the oil on top, just stops them sticking too much together. Because it is a soft dough, they will sort of flatten out in the fridge overnight. And that's it, in the fridge. So I've taken them out earlier than the 2 hours because it's so cold. Take your dough onto the bench. It's very soft, very pliable. And we're just going to round them up. Exactly the same as we did yesterday. Building that tension on the top. Got a few specks of pepper or something on mine. I don't know how I managed to do that. just round them all up. This dough could have stayed in the fridge for anywhere up to 5 days, so you can make it in advance. Once they're all rounded, I will cover them up and leave them sitting there till I'm ready. So I've just papered my tray there, as you can see. I'm going to use semolina and flour mixed together for pinning out the pizza bases. You can use a rolling pin if you want, but you're far better off not using one. The rolling pin seems to make it squash all the gas bubbles out. It's you don't achieve the bubbles as much. If you're doing them on your normal kitchen oven, have the oven up at about, well, as hot as you can get it really. Mine goes to about 240, but I have the pizza stone out and on the gas hob heating that up. So say if I was doing it in the inside oven, as I'm stretching these doughs out, I would then lay them straight on the pizza stone that's on top of the gas and top while they're on there, just to get it nice and hot. I'm using my outside bakery oven, so I don't need to do that today. And then top them with whatever you want. Not like that. We're going to do 3 with the pizza sauce on, 1 without. Doing a margarita, and then just a mixture on the other one. Yes, with pineapple. Let's not judge other people for what they put on their tops. And the third one we'll do with olive oil, pepper strips, jalapenos, bocconcini, and some basil. So if you're just making one in your inside oven, I would have it on the pizza stone while I'm topping it, with the pizza stone nice and hot on top of the stove. So if you're making them to use the same day, give it as long a rest as you can after you've mixed it and it's had its 2-hour fermentation. The longer you leave it, the better, but you can use it the same day. You just won't get quite a good effect And this is them coming out of the oven. Depending on how hot your oven is, how long they're in there for. And there you go. Enjoy.